So Animesh,
Yeah, go ahead.
just one thing, like this junction object can, like, we don't have any standard junction object, right? Because like standard object can never be on the detail side.
That's correct. Why do we not have a junction object? Because in standard objects, you will not find a master detail field. Yeah, in standard objects, you cannot even create a master detail field.
Yes.
Right. So both ways, you will never have a junction object in standard object relationships. Only you will get normal mapping objects. So what happens is that if you have so for creating a junction object, you need either two standard objects or custom objects, or one standard, one custom, or both custom. Yeah. And then you can create a custom object, and you can create two master detail relationship here, MD and MD. Then this mapping object becomes a junction object. That means a junction object will invariably be a custom object. Yeah, we can see it today, how it works, or how we create that. No difference. The mapping object, it has just two lookups, and junction object has just two master details. That's the only difference. Yeah, but it will behave very differently because we will discuss that in later. For security purpose and so on, that is a very different situation. Okay. So what we are going to discuss today, our topic today is basically some field types. We will see what is a roll-up summary, and we'll see what is a formula field. First, let's talk about these two things and how we can use these for our purpose, for our different business situation. So let's go with roll-up summary first. Yeah. So if I have the parent side and child side, roll-up summary is a field which you create in the parent side. Okay. When you will be able to create a roll-up summary? When you have a master detailed child, then only. So in child side, there must be a master detail of this parent. Otherwise, you cannot create the roll-up summary. Okay. As I said, parent can be standard object or custom object. Child invariably would be a custom object. Otherwise, you cannot create a master detail. And if you cannot create a master detail, you will not be able to create a roll-up summary on the parent side. What does roll-up summary do? Roll-up summary can give you a count of your child records, can give a summation of one of the fields of your child records, can find out the minimum value of one field in a child record, or can find the maximum value of a field in your child record. So in child record, if you have record 1, record 2, record 3, record 4, and probably there is a like a current amount field you have created. Okay, and you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 4 records. Then what would the count show? If I do a 4, absolutely. What would the sum show?
100.
Absolutely. What would min show?
10.
10. What would max show?
40.
40, right? So let's see this happening. So let's create, if I go to the account and I try to create a roll-up summary, you will see you can still create a roll-up summary even if there is a no master data relationship of account. Why? Because Salesforce allows this feature for a few objects. So you see there is a roll-up summary already, even if there is no master detail. Will not create this, but let's see how it is done. So you see there are some object on which you can create roll-up summaries. In opportunity, if you go, this is a lookup relationship. Account has a lookup relationship, but still you can do a roll-up summary. So there are some standard objects on which you can do roll-up. Okay, this is an exception, but usually you cannot do a roll-up on two. You cannot create a master detail relationship between two standard objects, right? So that is why these three cannot be increased. Okay, so if you need to increase, then you have to create a custom object. So I will use the account and we will create a new object to work on it, right? Let's see that. So how do we create a custom object? Yes, we have created a custom object now. Now let's see, it's called account detail. Or account transactions, account registrations. Maybe let's name it registrations. Or maybe donations is a better word. Yeah, I create an object called donation. Yeah, here I create a, see, before I create this, let's look at this. There are 4 fields, right? After I create a master detail, you will see this owner field will vanish. Okay, why? We will discuss that later in later subsequent sessions, not now. We are relating to an account. So I am creating a custom object and I am relating to a standard object, right? What we are doing in these steps are basically we are adding this to as a related list to the account layout, and before that we just created a field in the layouts. So you see the owner field is gone now as soon as we create a master detail, right? Now let's go back to and let's create some other field. Here now we have a field called donation, right? You see underscore C, that means it's a custom object. Here I go ahead and I create a maybe amount field. Amount field should be a currency, right? If amount field maximum length is 18, but if you want this to be reduced and you want to, sorry, if you want this is 0 decimal, after decimal there is no places, but if you want to do 2, you have to reduce the same number from 18. So if it is 18, then you have to make it 16. Okay, see, these two should add up to 18. That should be remembered. Okay, otherwise it will throw it off. I'm adding to all. Now I'm adding this field to the layout. Yeah. So now how many fields do I need to fill up? One is donation, right? This fields needs to be filled up. Account needs to be filled up, and amount needs to be filled up, right? The 3 fields I have to fill up. I can make this standard name field if I don't wish to fill this values, I can make this auto number. I can go and change this to auto number, and I can set up a pattern to it. Like, what will happen? It will start at D-0001, and I will have a starting number as 1. So I don't have to fill it. Now Salesforce will generate that number for this name field for me. It becomes an auto number field. If you don't do that, then name field is mandatory, and you have to put some values there. Yeah, but name fields can be changed to auto number. So only 2 options. Okay? You can make a name field a text field which you have to input. Otherwise, you can make it auto number. Then you don't have to input it. So let's go back to our account. So now I have a child called donations. In this child, I have a field called amount. So now I can go ahead and create a new roll-up summary here on my account side. That means the parent side. So total donation. That's the name of my field. What would be the type? Current type, because I am calculating on a currency field of amount, right? So I will select this currency. If I am calculating on some other data types, I will select appropriate fields. I'm sorry. Did I select master roll-up summary? Total donation. Yeah. So now you see the standard field objects came into list, but I have now a new object in this list. So if I do a count only, it will show for the number of donation records which I have, right? But that does not involve any other fields or donation object, right? But if I want to do calculations, then I can do a summation, which I want to calculate, right, for this purpose. So I will select which field of donations I need to work on. Yeah. And I can also put a criteria, like, do I need to use all records, or should I filter out some of the records for doing this summation? So if there is some special fields like inactive fields, inactive donation, something of that sort, and you can filter on that if needed. Yeah. So I have created now a roll-up summary. Let's see how it works. Let's see how the account field is working out. So I have BCCI as in my account. In this related list, now I can see donations, right? And I can create some donations. You see, it is asking if account field is automatically filled up because I am on my account. So I don't need to fill up the account field. Had I created a new tab for donations, then I have to search and fill this account field. Yeah. So let's now fill 10. When I fill 10 here, if I go into details and search for total donations, you see $10 is showing up here. So again, I go to related object, add a 20. Go back to my detail page. It is already updated. It is set automatically getting updated. So these are not input fields, right? We'll see that it is a read-only field. 2030 and another field 40. Yeah. So I have 4 records, 4 donations I created on account, and in the details it will show up the total donation amount, right? And if you go and edit this, you will see this field is read only because This is kind of a formula field. It's just a special kind of formula field. Yeah, which is working on child records. So is it clear now how a roll-up summary works? Quite easy, right? Now let's go and understand what is a normal formula field. So instead of account, I will now go to the donation object. And in donation object, I will create a new field. Before that, let's talk about a requirement. So I want to create what is a donation object? So here I have created a donation object, right? I have the amount field. So what amounts I have? 10, 20, 30, sorry. Right? And I want to create a new field, which is called difference. Yeah. What is this difference will show me? Difference will show that what this donation contribution, it will show me a total. So I will total this. That is exactly what I'm showing in this 100. I'm showing in the parent side, right? In the account is total, right? But in the individual records, I want to show something like this: 100 minus this amount. Again, 100 minus this amount. Again, 100 minus this amount. And again, 100 minus this amount. So it's a difference between the total amount and this individual amount, right? So I have to see 90 here, on here 80, 70, and 60. It will show a difference by doing a subtraction from the total donation. Yeah. So how can I do that? So let's go and create a formula field. This I'm creating on the child side. Formula field you can create both from on the parent side or the child side, doesn't matter. Formula field it puts any kind of formula by using fields from the same object on which you are creating the formula, or you can create you can do some calculation based on some fields from your parent object also. Yeah. So here in this case, what are we doing? We are calculating between a two currency fields, right? So I will name it a difference. And what are the two fields through on which we are doing the calculation? If I go back to my Excel sheet, this field is basically on the account side, and this field is in the child side, right? On donation object. So let's go and insert in the account. This is just an account lookup field, but in account you can refer the account fields. This account arrow, you have to look at that. So what that field, what we have created account side is called total donation. So let's insert this. So this minus you can use it from here also. It does not matter. You can type it here or you can use these objects. Is the same story. And then we can go to the donation object, and where this I need to create the amount, right? So you see how it is referring the parent. So account __ R, that is the relationship. Automatically, if you use __ R dot, then that you are able to access the fields of your parent. Okay, or any relationship you have. That means this has to be a lookup on this object. Then only you can do this account __ R. If there is no account lookup, or if you have a lookup like contact, then you will have it contact __ R dot. Then you can access all the fields of that object. Yeah. And this is my own field, the donation field, because you are creating the formula field on donation. You don't have to add anything here. Just the field name is fine. Any questions till now? It's always a good practice to check syntax. It is showing no errors. And next, it is adding to all the profiles, and I am adding the field to the layout. So what happens now? I go to that. You see, the amount is 10, the difference is 90. Just on my calculation, right? What about the next one? 2080. What about the next one? 3070. What about the next one? 4060. Yeah, both these fields, the amount field is still editable, but the difference field is not editable because there's a formula field. Formula field is only for display. Formula field does not store anything in the database. Okay, so it is runtime calculated when you're seeing that on the UI screen. So it is just a calculation field which does runtime calculation before it shows it on the UI. So it's a good field to use. You will find it handy to use. Since this formula field we are using like inside this formula we are using fields from two different objects. From the self object, the object on which you are creating the formula, using one field of that object called amount, and you are using total donation field from your parent object. So this becomes a cross object formula field. Yeah. So cross object formula means you are using fields from across objects. So that is called cross object formula field. Rollup summary and formula is clear. Any confusion?
No.
Okay. Now we'll see something called rules. Yeah, you see something called a validation rules here. Yeah, on the amount field, I can enter anything, right? So long it is a currency. So data types, what we select here, enforces a kind of data validation. We could have made this field text field, right? But then I can enter ABCD also on that field, and that's a violation of my currency, right? So I will choose appropriate field types to make sure that Salesforce kind of filters out the bad data, right? I have error, less amount of error. But what if I want to have some business defined rules, right? That is not data type driven. That is business defined rules. Like in this exact formula field, amount field, which I have created. If I say that I would not allow users to enter values less than 100. Yeah. How do we do that? So I will go to these validation rules now. Yeah. And I will say block amount less than 100. Okay. So what would be my formula to block? Validation rule is for blocking bad data. Okay. So whatever criteria you are setting here, that should be the criteria which you do not want people to enter. Yeah. Sometimes the requirement comes in which says that this is the data I want people to enter. Then you have to derive what is the formula I have to do to block the bad data. So what is a condition for the bad data? Sometimes customers will not give you what is the blocking criteria. They will give what is a passing criteria. So you have to derive what is the blocking criteria and then implement it here. So requirements can be tricky. Okay. So let's block an amount called, which field am I working on? Amount, right? So amount less than 100 is all I need. And I have to show amount enter 100 or more. I can show this error on the top of the page or just beside the amount field. you have to make sure that this is by default ticked, but make sure that this is ticked. Otherwise, this will not fire. Please note that validation rule will not fire for the records already that has got created. So these records is a violation, but this has already got created. Validation rule was not there. So it does, this will not check these amounts. From now on, it will try to block. Yeah. So let's go back and check.
So Animesh, if we update these records, then in that case, will it validate?
In that work, yeah. If you edit it, then it will work. Absolutely. So this is the amount, right? So now if I go ahead and save it, it will show the problem. Okay. So if I go back and now I try to create a new record and I give 50, it will not allow me. Yeah. And it will show this enter 100 or more. Right. So this is now blocking me from entering the value, and it is doing a business driven validation. That is why it is called validation rule. Okay. And it will work for any save button click. That means it can happen on creation, or it can also happen for editing the record, right? Both is the validation rule will fire and validate the data. So these old records, if I go and update it, it has to follow the validation rule. Otherwise, it will not allow you to save. Clear? So this validation rule can be very tricky, very like complicated. It can go to any extent. So it's a very powerful tool. So use it judiciously, and you can do a lot of things with it. Yeah. Validation rule can be also used. I will now talk about some things. Yeah. So if I go to a lot of requirement for validation rule comes for just null checks. Why null checks is required? Or like blank checks. If you go to account or any standard object, right? And like these are the standard fields, right? And if you want to, what are the mandatory fields here in account? Only the account name, right? Nothing else. But if I want to make the account number a mandatory field, what will I do? Can I make it? If I go there, edit it, I don't get an option to make it mandatory. You see this? But what if in my business rule, I need to make this account number mandatory? What will I do? Two ways of doing it. Standard fields cannot be made mandatory on the field level. If it is a custom field, you can make it mandatory. I will show you that. So let's first talk about the standard fields. So if you go to the account layout, the account number is here, right? If you have this range button, click it and you make it required, then that becomes a mandatory field. Standard object, but mandatory field now. So what happens if you go to account, create a new account, or you edit an existing value? See, account number, this red star has come, right? But is this a proper solution? Probably not, because this will only work in the UI or the whatever layout you have changed, right? But if somebody is entering data from Workbench or import wizard, in that case, this mandatory check will not happen, because this is only applicable for page layout. But what if on the field level, I want to make sure that even if they are entering data from Workbench, it needs to be blocked? Then, of course, you have to go and create a validation rule, page layout, making it mandatory, that will not work. So probably what you have to need to do, you have to go to account. You have to go to the validation rule, create a validation rule, account number mandatory. Yeah, here just I entered the field. And there are different fields you can use here, right? So you can make it account number is equal to quotation. This will work. It's not a problem. But a better way of doing it would be to use is blank. And there are very great expressions here. So it is blocking is blank, right? So any account number, if I put it blank, then I'm trying to block it. And where will I show this account number, right? I will say, please enter a value. We have created this, but when you go there, you will see that this will not work. Why it will not work? You will not see that like showing this error. Let's see. If I create a new account, and I do a save, complete this field. That's not the enter value we entered, right? Complete this field. This is Salesforce default value, which is showing up from the page layout validation rule. It is star, right? So page layout validation rules fire first, then your custom validation rule. That's why your custom validation rule is not hitting. But if I go ahead and remove this from the page layout, sorry, new account. So now let's do a test validation. You see there is no red star, but now it is showing up my message. Okay. So standard fields need either a validation rule or a page layout required checkbox in order to make it a mandatory. The page layout changes is not foolproof because you can bypass that using Workbench or input wizards for entering data. To make it all encompassing so that people cannot bypass that, you have to create a validation. You can have both. If you have both, in that case, the page layout check will happen first. Your validation rule will not fire. In the Workbench, you will see the validation rule working. Yeah. So now we have seen how a validation rule works. And if you go and we created the donation field, right? In donation field, we had the amount field, but this is a custom field, right? In custom field, the benefit is that you can directly go and make this required. You have this option. Yeah. So if you make this required, automatically when you go to donation, you see a red star here, and you can save now. Yeah, automatically it will show in the page layout. You will not be able to bypass it even because it's done on the field level. So there are many options which saw, right, to make a field mandatory. Let's Let's see that once again. And when to use what? Might be a question which is coming to you, right? So let's have a chart to see that. Standard field, custom field. What are the three objects of making it? Directly on the field, on page layout, and using validation rule. Standard field, custom field. So this in standard field, you don't get this option. You cannot go to the field and make it mandatory. In custom field, you get this option. Page layout option you can get for both standard field and option field. Validation rule you can create on both standard field and custom field. When to use what? Then usually for custom field, if it is all encompassing, you want to make it mandatory everywhere, be it in import, be it everywhere, be it for the field, all the page layouts, even in working bench, that field is mandatory. So always go with this option. That's the easiest one, and that will take care of all the scenarios. Yeah. If there are situational things on which, like if some people on the page layout only, it should work. In that case, go with this option. But usually when the requirement comes, those fields are like mandatory for everybody. In that case, always go with this option. Yeah. And for standard fields, you have only these two options, the page layout ones and the validation rules. If this field needs to be mandatory in everywhere, then of course choose this one. If it is like conditional for some people in some areas, then you can choose this option, right? And validation rule for custom, to make it mandatory, only use that when there is complicated rule associated to it for making it mandatory. Yeah, otherwise there is no need for doing it. So ideal choice would be field level for custom field and a validation rule for the standard field. Page layout is very conditional. Usually we avoid doing this because this is not our employer. Sometimes we use this. Clear, guys? Any questions?
No, Nimish.
Great, fantastic. So we saw validation rules, and we will now see another rule. Before going there, do we have time? Yeah, a lot of time. Great. So what did we see? Validation rule. Validation rule fires before saving, right? If the validation rule blocks, validation is a blocker. Validation rule, when it fires, basically the record is not saved. That means you either, if you're in the create mode, then that record will not get created. If you're in the update mode, in that case, the updation will not happen, right? You blocked it. The save button is not basically working. So it's happening before saving. And validation rule is a blocker. It does not change values on fields, right? And apart from that, validation rules can so now we are talking about another rule which is called workflow rule. Workflow rule. What happens is workflow is a different. It fires after saving of a record. Yeah, and what does it do? It does not block. It performs some actions. What kind of actions? It can send an email. It can create tasks. It can update fields of self or master detail parent. 1, 2, 3, and fourth option is outbound messages. You can fire a SOAP service in a fire and forget method. Quite advanced topics. We'll not discuss this. Let's talk about 1, 2, and 3. So you can send an email. You can create a task. You can update fields. Fields means other fields of the same object on which you are running the validation tool. Or if there is a master detail parent you have, then you can go and update the fields of the parent, master detail parent. You cannot update fields if it is a lookup. Okay, lookup parent you won't be able to update it. Let's see this in action. It's a loaded session today. I understand. Let me know if it is getting too much. Yeah. Okay. So here you saw the validation role is on that object itself, but workflow role is not available here. It is on the main homepage, and it comes under diverse process automations. So there are many other automations. We'll cover everything in subsequent sessions. We are only talking about 2 automations today. That is the validation rule and workflow rule. So if you go to process automations, you see there are many things. So approval process flows, process builders. We'll cover all these in subsequent sessions, and workflow rules. So let's talk about workflow rules. You see all these actions are mentioned here: email alerts, field updates. Once you create these actions, you can use it in multiple workflows. Yeah? So it's not that the action what you have created is only available in that workflow. Okay, so maybe I want to create an action on my donation object. Before doing that, let's create another field in account. So what happens if they say that total donation field needs to be editable on the account side? Yeah, it can happen, right? The customer said that you populate all the values from child, but then allow me to update that. For this situation is not applicable, but if you need something of that sort, that it has to be editable, in that case the formula field will not work, right? Or the roll-up summary will not work, right? So maybe I have to create a new field called a currency field. Maybe editable. Yeah, something of that sort. What is my requirement? My requirement is basically that all the same. It will show everything of my child records, or it will keep on adding the values from my child record one after another when the new childs are created, right? If that is the case, how will I do that? I go to workflow. So action is happening on the child side, right? When the new child records are created, the parent side editable field will keep on adding values. Yeah. Or it will, I will update the last. Oh yeah, I think I have got a better value. So better use case. So I will go and Total donation, where is that? Editable. Yeah, I will change this to a better name with a better purpose. So I will say last donation. Every time a new record is created, that amount should show in my parents last donation. Yeah, it's a good use case. Right? Yeah. Now it's time to work on the workflow. So you go to the donation object. The rule name is update account, update last donation. So I can do this for any time it is created. I can fire this anytime and every time it is edited. I can fire created or anytime it is edited for subsequent meet criteria. Yeah, I can set up a criteria. What is the criteria? Criteria can be like amount not equal to null, right? That is a good criteria. So whenever I have some value on the amount, I want this workflow rule to be fired. So workflow rule has fired. Where are the actions? I can use existing actions, select existing actions, or I can create new actions. You see, email alert is an action. So email alert, for that you have to create an email template, unique values, and you can send it to whichever user you want to select to the owner field. You can, there are many options to send email to many people, right? And for that you have to also create an email template to send an email. Yeah, let's see how to create an email template. Let's see if I can create an email template.
Classic email template.
Yes. So let's create a new template from scratch. I can use a text version, HTML version, custom version, or visual version. Let's create a HTML version. Then we need a letterhead also. Let's bypass that for now. You can explore that on your time, but for fast creation, what I will do is that I will create an email which will go out. Yeah, and what will that email do? And I will create it on a unified class item. So let's see it. Donation creation, email template name, right? And what would be the subject? New donation email body. Yeah. So in this email body, you see, I can use this merge fields. Merge field means dynamic fields. Hi, a new donation of amount. You want the amount field, right? So we'll go to the donation fields, select which field, amount. I'll copy this. Paste it here. Yeah. That's it. So I have created a. You can also verify this. So if I have a So let's go and go to the where is the I go back to my workflow. This is my last workflow. Now let's do some addition of email alert. I now have created a email template, right? What is the email template? Donation. Did I activate it? Donation create available for use has not been activated. So I have to make this available for use. Save it. Go back to our workflow. Edit. New email alert. Let's select the email template. Donation creation is now available. What is the description? New donation. Yeah. Or donation email alert, right? Donation. I think that is the better name to identify this action. I can send it to specific users, or I can say that I will only send it to the owner. You see, account owner is coming. Why the donation owner is not coming? Because owner field is not there in donation, right? Okay, now what I can do, I can create a field update. Update last donation. Which field? I see I am getting the donation as well as account. So I will go to account. I can update any field on donation also. I can go to account field, and what was the last donation? This is the field I want to update, right? And I have to update this from some value, right? So I have to use a formula. What is the field I want to use? In donation, the amount field needs to be entered here, right? And that's it. Save. Workflow rule is not by default activated. So you have to make sure that you go ahead and activate it here. Yeah. So let's activate it. Can I now go ahead and test it? So I have BCCI. Let's see what is the last donation amount. Last donation is blank, right? I don't have this. So I will go to related object. Now I will create a new donation. $50. Oh, I have the validation rule also firing, right? So it will stop me. So $100 is allowed. So save it. Oh, it's not allowed. 200.
Decimal, it needs to be decimally placed.
No, what is the error message? Please enter a value. I think there is some problem with this. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I will block this and talk about it. Just deactivate it for now. I will come back to it. So now I create a new account, new donation. You can enter 50. What happened? I block it on the error also. Oh, okay. I think I added it here also. Hold on. We'll check what is happening there. Okay. Go back to my donation. No, in the page layout also I have a block. Now it is. Yeah, it was caching it something. Right? What happened? Where is this running from? It's caching it somewhere. So work on a new account. Let's see. Yeah, working now. Some problem with that. So I have now saved 50. That means $50 is now updating here. And you see last donation also got updated. So I can go and edit that. Is for roll up summary, you cannot edit, but this you can edit. Can what happens in the next time if I go and add a new donation of $100? And last donation 100. So it got updated. And you see there is a mail also coming to me. A new donation amount of $100 has been received. When the donation amount is getting clear. Right? The merge field is automatically working. So I have got two new mails. One is of $50, another of $100. Because I am the account owner. Cool, right? I will rest it there. I think there is a lot for you to understand before we close for the day. We'll discuss a little bit more about the page layout. Page layout is what? Basically, page layout is used here in this detail tab, whatever you're seeing here. When you click new, whatever you're seeing here. When you click edit, what you're seeing here. This is basically a page layout, the same page layout. So page layout can be based on, you can make different this page layout, this like fields or the layout of fields. You can change based on who is logging in. Yeah, you can give So for that, you have to define user types. What kind of user will see what, right? User types is basically called profiles. Yeah, you have something called profile. There can be different profiles. So these are all different user types, you can say. Yeah. Your user type is basically system administrator. Yeah, there can be standard users and system administrator. So if you go to user, you will see all the users who can log into Salesforce. In your org, in this playground, you can create your user. After that, you can create one more user. Yeah. So of course, you can use another email ID and you can create another user. So two people can log in into this org. You have seen that we have been launching it from here, but you can also do a user ID password. If you want to do a user ID password, what you need to do, you have to go to this your own user and do a change password. So you don't have the password. Sorry. You can go select this and you can do a reset password. This will send a mail to you with a link. You can click on that and you can set your password. When you set up your password, this will be your user ID, and that password which you have set up, you can use it to directly log in into your playground using login.salesforce.com. So you can use this here, and then you can do this, and you can this will work. Yeah, that is the benefit which you get for doing this user ID password if you do not want to launch it from your hands-on org. Clear? Another benefit is that if you go and check this, you will see the profile is here. Yeah, the user type is set up. So what this profiles is doing is that when you go to that profile, maybe you go to the object and you go to the account. You see there are layouts, there are different kinds of layouts. There are 4 layouts: marketing layout, sales layout, service support layout, account layout. And if you go to the page layout assignment, you can see that different user types can be given different layouts. You can give the same layout to everybody. That is also fine. But you can see the system administrator I am logging in. I'm using the default account layout, but I can change any of this user, like identity user, this one. Right? I want to change that. Edit assignment. Probably where is that? Marketing user, right? This needs to use marketing. Yeah, I changed that. So based on what is the benefit? These different layouts can have fields specific to that department, right? Like marketing people don't need to use the fields which is relevant for sales. There is no need to make life miserable for everybody. They don't have to search. You can increase productivity of people by giving only the fields they are supposed to work on, and take the rest out, right? So just in a account layout, you probably my sample ID or GST number, probably you don't need this. So you take that out. SIIC code, you take that out. Yeah. When you do that, this becomes quite easy to handle, and you can like play around with these, and then you save it. So that immediately is available to different people. So this layout, whoever which profiles have this layout assigned, it will all the users will get this change immediately. You see, this has been now better managed. Last layout and last donation is on the right side now. So apart from this, there is a concept called record type. So this is static change. Like the people who are logging in, they see different layouts. But what if I want to change the layout based on different types of data or different type of records? What is a different type of records? Like this is account, right? I have like, there are 2 kinds of account possible. I will see that there can be a business account and there can be a personal account. I want 2 kinds of accounts. So the fields relevant for business account might not be relevant for personal accounts, right? So if I create a record type, and it can be a personal account and let's see, business account. And I can select which layout should I use for this. Okay, maybe the current layout, and probably I will create a non-business account. I forgot to mark this as active. I might take sales as the default layout for that. So I created two layouts, and in these record types, I can select all the pick list values and choose the values which I want to keep in this pick list. So maybe for this active pick list, yes, no is there. Let's see some others. Account source. Okay. So that is good, right? Here, maybe other purchase list. I will only keep these two. And I can also set a default value. Yeah, here. This will be applicable only for this record type. Okay. So I am seeing non-business account. So if I go back to this business account record type, I can choose something else on this pick list. Maybe I take out the other things, phone inquiry, and this goes away. And I have these three, and partner referral is something I choose. Yeah. So I have created two types of records now. Before that, there was only one type of records, only accounts, right? No categorization of that. But if I want to change my UI based on which kind of record it is, then I need to create a record type. And record type gives me the ability to choose the page layout. Record types also give me the ability to like create a filter on my pick lists of that object. Okay. So what happens now? If I go to page layouts now, and you see page layout assignments, now you see two record types. So now you can have a different combination, which kind of user, which kind of record. And based on that, you can choose your layout. Okay, the system administrator right now, I am which kind of account is a business account, I will use this layout. If it is a non-business account, I will use this layout. Right. So it depends on now who is logging in and what kind of record are they creating or working on. Here, before this, because these two record types has been assigned to every type of users. If multiple record types has been already assigned to multiple people, then what happens? Whenever now I go and create a new account, it will ask me what kind of account do you want to create? Do you want to create a business account? Do you want a non-business account? Based on that, it will proceed to that layout. It will choose that layout, right? And if I assign only one record type, this pop-up does not open for you. Then you can only create one type of record type. Yeah. So it depends on what are you assigning to whom. Is it clear now? So based on what is your choice, this layout opens. If you create a non-business account, then some other layout will open. Yeah. That's how you can change the layout based on the type of user who is logging and a type of record which is what you want. Both the combination is possible. If you are not creating record type, then it will be only based on who is logging in. Any questions so far?
Yeah, Animesh, on this record type thing, like suppose we are having this standard page layout, like for the accounts.
Hmm.
And like suppose we only create one record type.
Hmm.
So like can we select from that standard layout that already we had and the one that we have just created?
Yeah,
Like in this case, we have created two. So that is the reason these two are coming up.
Hmm.
Suppose like if we have
No,
created
if
just
you-
only one business.
No. Yeah, if you create, so depends on if that record type is getting assigned to somebody, then that they cannot create master type of record. Then they will always create that custom that record type records.
Okay,
If their
okay,
record
got
type
it.
is not assigned to somebody, then they will be creating master kind of records.
Mhm.
So here I wanted to show you that pick list, right? So if I, what was the name of the pick list? Account source, right? Account source pick list is not here. Let me put that back. So the benefit will show that thing. So in account layout, yeah, let's put the account source. I think account source is not there. Yeah, let's put account source. Okay, and I use the sales layout also, and I will put the account source there also. So I've changed two layouts, put a new layout here, and let's go back and refresh the screen, and let's see how different it will be. So how will it affect the peak lists? So if you go there, and this is the account records, you see three values here. Yeah, and one of the chosen values is here. But if I go and create a business account, in some other way, only two values are showing up. Same field, different set of records. Yeah, you can choose lesser fields here. You can choose whatever fields here. So based on the record type, the layout and the pick lists will the field. What are the fields you are trying to show, and what are the pick list values you are trying to show? You can control. Yeah. So I think enough materials for today. We'll stop the session. And if there is any question, please go ahead.
Animesh, I have completed that PD1 certification. So can I update that on
Yeah,
Teams?
you can go to iEvolve and you can add that certificate.
Yeah, I've added that over there also.
Yeah, they will go for approval and then.
Yeah, it got approved.
Yeah, that's fine. Awesome. You know what needs to be done. For any kind of certification vouchers, if you need, you can also reach out to Renu Tamta or Sonali Tandon. You let me know, and I will send them your email IDs. I think journey to Salesforce you have already done, right? That is the TCS. Yeah. Anybody who wants to certify themselves, you can start a journey to Salesforce program of TCS, and you will get a voucher. I think if we do not have any questions, we will call it a day. Have a nice weekend and rest of the day. Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.